Hey there everyone, I'm Fox 10 News meteorologist Jennifer Lambers with a brand new update from the National Hurricane Center. Now, just a reminder, Hurricane Helene became a hurricane earlier today at that 10 a.m. advisory update. We will continue to get more of these updates until it gets closer towards land every 3 hours. Now, in case you are joining us, we are live streaming on our Fox 10 Gulfstream. You can find that on Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick, plus also we are live streaming on our Fox 10 YouTube page and also our Fox 10 Facebook page. So in case you have any questions for me, I am monitoring the comments on the Facebook page, so just feel free to drop them down below in case you have any specific questions. Again, we are located in Mobile, Alabama. We extend towards Destin, Florida for anyone that might be joining us from different portions of the country. So we're going to be talking more about Hurricane Helene, this brand new advisory update, impacts that we're going to be seeing closer towards other portions of Florida, and also our impacts here locally. So let's go ahead and dive right in and get more into those details at that 1 p.m. advisory update. And no changes to that wind speed. I will say that that was a little surprising. I would have expected it possibly to go up by about 5 miles per hour. The National Hurricane Center did have it strengthening into that Category 2 hurricane later on for this evening, closer towards 6 p.m., expecting it to become that Cat 2. But right now it's still that Category 1 hurricane tracking north-northwest at 10 miles per hour. So that's going to be the strength with this system so far. So no changes to that wind speed. Still moving at 10 miles per hour. Then the one change that is noticeable is that the pressure, it actually went up by 1 millibar. At that 10 a.m. advisory update, it was 979. At this new advisory update, it is now 980. So we're likely seeing some of the impacts from it pushing over land near Mexico, also Cuba, that mountainous terrain, but it's moving through the Yucatan Peninsula and is going to be emerging into the southern Gulf. We're already seeing that center there just on the northern tip there of the Yucatan Peninsula, moving through the Yucatan Channel, and so it's only going to strengthen after this. The Gulf, it is very favorable for more of that development and that rapid intensification. Taking a look at the forecast path, the National Hurricane Center still has it strengthening into that Cat 2 later on this evening, and then that Cat 3 early tomorrow morning. So it's moving over warm water. It has low wind shear. Also, it has some of that dry air over the Yucatan Peninsula. Not enough to inhibit or to stop any of that strengthening from taking place. And then looking in closer, this is going to be that cone. Now, no real track shifts at all. Still just focusing right there on the Big Bend region and continuing to push up near Appalachia Bay for that landfall approach. For anyone that knows Apalachicola, that's going to be just a little bit on the west side there of that landfall track. So just trying to get some landmarks that people might know in that area. Cape San Blas also right there, going to be feeling those impacts. And then something that was notable at that 10 a.m. advisory update is those sustained winds at landfall bumped up to 125. That is going to be a very strong Category 3 hurricane. That is at the top of the Saffir-Simpson scale for that category. Just a reminder, a Category 4 would be 130 miles per hour for those sustained winds. So it's 5 miles per hour shy there, but it's still moving into a favorable environment, expected to make landfall heading into tomorrow night. So that will be something that we have to watch as we get closer. If you have any friends or family in that area closer towards Tallahassee, if they're in the cone, just make sure that you're checking in with them. Still expecting it to be a strong system. Now I am just going to head and reading some of y'all's comments here. And yeah, just a reminder, Mobile, we are okay. And that's going to be, I'll show it in just a minute, the spaghetti models, and they have it all in that Big Bend region. We are going to be on the west side of the system, so our impacts here locally, minimal. We're really not going to be seeing much notable impacts. We'll be seeing some isolated showers. We're going to get some wind gusts heading into tomorrow especially. Our biggest thing is going to be that rip current risk. Our surf at our local beaches, it is going to be rough. Please stay out of the water over the next few days because we're only going to continue to see that really go up heading into tomorrow and Friday. Don't put yourself, don't put others at risk. Stay out of the Gulf waters tomorrow and also on Friday. So let's go ahead ahead and take a look at those tropical alerts that are in place. And if you were watching Studio 10 and Fox 10 Midday earlier, something that really sticks out to me here is going to be Florida and Georgia. So look at Florida, the entire peninsula. It is included in that tropical storm warning. If you look closer towards Mobile, the little Florida panhandle portion right there, there are 3 counties not included in that. That is going to be Escambia County in Florida, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa. Those are the 3 counties that here at Fox 10 we cover. So that's going to be our viewing area. That's the only sliver not included in this. Everywhere else under either a tropical storm warning or a hurricane warning. Meanwhile, the entire state of Georgia is lit up with those tropical warnings. They have all 3 of them. They have the tropical storm warnings, they have the tropical storm watch, and also that hurricane warning. So looking in closer, this is going to be where that landfall approach will be taking place. Tallahassee still included in some of those hurricane warnings, even into Georgia, Valdosta, Thomasville, seeing those impacts still as a hurricane as it pushes into southern Georgia. But look towards the Florida Panhandle. Again, there's Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa counties not included in that. None of the Fox 10 viewing area, Mobile, Baldwin counties are inland spots. No one is included in any of these tropical alerts. We'll still be feeling a little bit of Helene as it pushes through, but as far as major impacts, we're not seeing anything except in our offshore waters. So that's why we do have that tropical storm warning just offshore. Wave heights 13 to 18 feet. It is going to be rough. Don't take the boat out over the next few days. We will see improvements as we get closer towards the weekend, so that will be the good news. But especially Thursday and Friday, stay out of the water. Don't take the boat out. Don't go swimming out there. The only exception is going to be for any of those surfers at Pensacola Beach. So just in case you do see them in the water, but even then, it's not going to be the best idea. The surf out there is rough. Please stay out of there. Don't put yourself or others at risk at this time. That's going to be the big thing that we're monitoring over the next few days. As I had mentioned, Mobile, we're not a concern here. Here is going to be those models really just leaning towards that Apalachicola, Appalachia Bay area in the Big Bend region for that landfall approach heading into tomorrow night. We are on the west side of the system, the better side of that system, to where our impacts will be minimal. Think back to Francine. It made landfall in Louisiana. We were on the other side, the front right quadrant. That is not the place that you want to be with any of these strong tropical systems. The front left quadrant really is where you want to be. If you're going to be anywhere near it, that's the place to be. That's where we are. And so that's why our impacts will be minimal. There's a good chance Mobile, Baldwin counties don't even see any rain heading into tomorrow. The rain that we're experiencing right now, that's separate from Helene. Helene's still pretty far away from us. That is going to be separate showers and storms that we're seeing at this time. So again, seeing quite a few comments here. Thank you to all of the folks watching from Okaloosa, Pensacola. Again, I'm going to be mentioning you guys too. Not included in any of those tropical watches, warnings. It's just going to be the offshore areas. I'm going to run through a local futurecast coming up in just a little bit. Again, this is going to be quite a discussion for what we have going on with Hurricane Helene. So if you have any of those questions, I'm going to try and get to any of them. Quite a few comments, so it's hard for me to keep up just a little bit, but if I miss anything, I will go back to and try and answer any of those. So let's go ahead and talk more about the futurecast and the graph model. Now I want to go ahead and give a heads up for the graph model. This is going to be a good idea of what we're just seeing moving through the Gulf, seeing some of those rain bands already pushing into Florida. We get a good idea of where we're seeing some of that storm surge. However, the graph, it does have that landfall approach further towards the east. So it is way off of what the National Hurricane Center is showing. As you even just saw some of those spaghetti models, even leaning closer towards Cape San Blas, Apalachicola, rather than Appalachia Bay. But this one takes it even further towards the east, so away from the Fox 10 viewing area, closer towards Cedar Key. So we're going to go ahead and run through this. So we start to see it strengthening. Look at the eye wall. That's really the takeaway. We see it close heading into this evening. That's when it's strengthening into that Category 2 hurricane. It becomes much more defined, much more closed. Tight circulation just beginning to wrap through, and then we make it into Thursday morning. Look at those rain bands. They're pushing through Panama City, seeing some of those in Santa Rosa and Okaloosa counties. Again, just rain that we'll be experiencing some of those tropical storm force winds out of the north. At this point, more of that storm surge pushing in closer towards Fort Myers, Naples, Tampa. already beginning to bring some of those winds just out of the south. It has that counterclockwise rotation, so it's just wrapping some of that up. That's what we were experiencing from Francine when it moved in. And then we get into tomorrow evening. It's quick moving once it gets over the Gulf waters, and especially beginning tomorrow morning, this thing is really picking up some of that speed. Here it is at 8 p.m. So if you look just south of Tallahassee, that's where the National Hurricane Center currently has that landfall approach. Graph model has it further off towards the east. So there is a little bit of still discrepancies there between some of these models. They're still focused on the Big Bend region. For us here locally in the Fox and Viewing area, again, I have a lot of folks that are watching from other areas. In the Fox and Viewing areas, we have an upper level low, which is helping just to steer it away from us. So that is going to be what's helping us out here locally. That's why there's no question about it traveling further towards the east. Now, for areas towards the east of Panama City, that's why that cone is still between Panama City and Cedar Key, is because of the upper levels that we have going on. We do have some of that steering at play. There's an upper level low over the mid-south off the coast of the Carolinas. There's a ridge of high pressure, so it's going right in between some of those. Again, the graph model, it has a little further towards the east than the National Hurricane Center, but this was just to give you a better idea of what some of those rain bands look like. Especially take a look at it after it moves further inland. The center of that eye moves over Valdosta. Once it gets really towards the central part of Georgia, that's when it begins to deteriorate. So this is still going to be a very strong system moving through the southern part of Georgia. And one thing that we're going to have to monitor is all of that rainfall, more of that wind. I don't know about you guys. I was driving out there earlier on the interstate I-10. I was crossing over the Bayway to head into work, and I just saw all of these utility vehicles. Every other car was one of those electrical bucket trucks, the ones they looked them up. So the utility vehicles, I was seeing AT&T, T-Mobile, I was seeing their vehicles on the interstate just traveling towards the east. And so it's just one of those stomach churning moments that you see that all of this destruction is on the way, but all of those folks are heading that way to just help relieve some of them. But it lets you know that we will start to see some of that destruction heading into tomorrow evening. So just be checking in with anyone that you may know in that area. If you have any friends or family that work for the utility companies, are heading that way just to help relieve some of the folks in that area, give my thank you to them. And we'll be thinking about them over the next few days as they help just to restore some of the power outages that we are anticipating from this system. Now, as mentioned, rainfall, that'll be a big concern over the next few days. This is going to be the 7-day rainfall outlook. If you look towards Mobile, Baldwin counties, our inland spots, our Mississippi counties, we're showing that green coloration that is less than ½ inch of rainfall. We're on the west side, our impact's minimal. We may even stay dry heading into tomorrow. Here is a look at closer towards Georgia. You can see that where that flash flooding will be likely 5 to 10 inches of rain or higher. We're going to be getting up into the mountainous terrain in Tennessee, the Carolinas, North Georgia. And so that yellow coloration, that's just really getting above even that 10, close to even, if you look near on the west side of Charlotte, just those little bright spots of yellow, that's showing closer towards that 15 inches of rainfall on this rainfall forecast. So quite a bit of rain, still going to have to go somewhere. So flash flooding will be an issue, not even just closer towards the coast, but for additional areas in the southeast. Us here locally in the Foxton Viewing area, not quite included in that. So I did want to go ahead and run through our futurecast. We do see some showers out there right now. Everything that we're experiencing at this time, we have some showers out there. This is separate from Helene, so this is going to be totally different. We're just seeing some of those showers push through for this afternoon and this evening. Some gusty winds will be possible along with heavy downpours and frequent lightning, but I really just want to take this into tomorrow. So we start to see that cloud cover increasing overnight. Look at Panama City. It's starting to light up with some of those showers. We're seeing more of that move into Escambia County, Florida, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa counties, even Monroe, Conecuh, and Escambia counties in Alabama, seeing some of those isolated showers to begin tomorrow. You're going to step outside and you'll see some peaks of blue, but it's also going to look gray and gloomy. We're going to be getting some of the cloud cover from Helene, but that's about it. So it's going to be keeping us cooler for one. We're going to be seeing temperatures upper 70s, lower 80s. It'll feel pleasant out there. We're going to have breezy winds out of the north. So you're going to step outside, say, hey, it feels like fall out here just a little bit. But as far as rain chances go, our futurecast even dropping off further for us here. So we start to see it really lighting up Panama City, Dothan, Enterprise, getting a lot of that rain. But Pensacola, Destin, Crestview, Fort Walton Beach, isolated showers heading into tomorrow afternoon. Evergreen, Atmore, Bruton, seeing just some of those isolated showers too, but very minimal. Even then, it just continues to track just towards the north. So Dothan, Montgomery still experiencing quite a bit of that rainfall. We won't be picking up much. If you looked at Mobile, Baldwin counties, Washington, Clark, even George and Greene counties in Mississippi, dry heading into tomorrow. We did have higher rain chances about 2 days ago. We've since dropped all of that off. So let's go ahead and just run further through your Thursday evening, and that's when we start to see more of those clear skies. So we will see all of this clear out beginning Thursday night. Our Friday forecast here, our Saturday, our Sunday looking great. It's just going to be seeing impacts beginning overnight, Thursday and Friday, especially at our local beaches. Taking a look at our forecasted wind gusts, I mentioned earlier we're seeing some showers out there right now. That is separate from Helene, so seeing more of those forecasted wind gusts really beginning to ramp up heading into this evening. We could just see some of those wind gusts over 30 miles per hour than any of those storms, and then we start to see some of that wind picking up tomorrow morning. Majority of this offshore. That's why we have that tropical storm warning just offshore for our waters. Still seeing some of those wind gusts get above 20, 30 mile per hour winds and continuing into later on into the evening. Look at the green that's lighting up just offshore, closer towards Navarre, Destin, Crestview. Wind gusts over 20 miles per hour, but the majority of it not even moving in closer towards us. Some isolated wind gusts over 30. Offshore waters looking at the higher chances to see tropical storm force winds. And then we get into Friday morning and all of that begins to push out of here. Our winds just shift out of the west and we'll be waking up with sunshine and clear skies. Here's a look at that rip current risk. Moderate today. It is high heading into tomorrow, Friday. By Saturday, it drops down to moderate. And by Sunday, it's beautiful back out there at our local beaches. If you are visiting us, I've been trying to get into some of the groups of like what's happening in Gulf Shores. I was posting in there just a little bit. Some folks asking if they need to leave. You don't. You're fine. You can stay here if you're at Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Pensacola, Destin, Navarre. You are totally fine to stay. Just stay out of the water, please. I know that you've come down here to enjoy our beautiful Gulf Coast waters. It's best just to not risk it. Don't put yourself, don't put others in harm's way just to enjoy a swim out there. Enjoy the pool, take a stroll along the beach. Heading into tomorrow, it'll be cloudy, it'll be gloomy. Just look for some of the seashells, grab a cup of coffee, walk along the water, but stay out of it, please. If you see anyone out there, don't be afraid to yell at them. Be mean, I don't care, just because they're putting others at risk if they have to go and also rescue them from the strong surf and the strong rip current risk. It's okay, yell at them because it is not a smart decision to get into the water over the next few days. Pay attention to where the lifeguards are, pay attention to their flags, double red flags. That does mean that the Gulf waters are closed. Just a reminder, however, it does vary from beach to beach. Our Alabama beaches, it's double red. At Pensacola Beach, it is a single red. At our Florida beaches, if it's single red flag, stay out. It is illegal to swim in the Gulf waters. Dauphin Island is going to be the same way. Here's a look at our local impacts, just breaking it down. Again, we are located here in Mobile, Alabama. Fox 10 News. We extend from the Mississippi coastline. We extend towards Destin, Fort Walton Beach. So just covering that entire portion of the central North Gulf Coast region. And our local impacts is mainly going to be that rough surf Wednesday through Friday. High rip current risk. Stay out of the water. We do have those storm tracker alerts in place for both Thursday and Friday because of those life-threatening rip current risks. Offshore wave heights 13 to 18 feet. Breezy winds, gusts up to about 30 miles per hour. Barely even getting into tropical storm strength for our offshore waters. So again, you'll just notice that light breeze heading into tomorrow and then increased rain chances Wednesday and Thursday. But even then we drop those down from what we were looking at just about 2 days ago. I did get some questions about Again, here locally, we still have a lot going on here. Friday night football, looking great. That forecast is looking fantastic. Saturday football games, Auburn, Alabama, those games are looking great. No concerns from any of the impacts from Helene. If anything, the question will be for the Alabama-Georgia game about Georgia getting on the road, getting out of Athens ahead of the system safely on the road. I know that Kirby Smart was talking about the team flying out too. So that'll just be one of the main concerns there. If you're going to the games, beautiful forecast. It's actually going to feel like fall, temperatures in the 70s, falling into the 60s by the time things are wrapping up. So no concerns for Friday or weekend forecast. We just have to get through. Thursday really will be the main time that we're seeing any of those impacts. The only exception is going to be our beaches, high rip current risks Wednesday and Thursday. So just a little recap again, really quickly in case you guys joined in just a little bit late. The 1 p.m. advisory update from the National Hurricane Center, sustained winds 80 miles per hour, Category 1 strength, no change to the wind speed. Pressure went up 1 millibar and no change to the movement. Still north-northwest at 10 miles per hour. It interacted just a little bit with the Yucatan Peninsula and the mountainous terrain there in Cuba. It's moving through the Yucatan Channel, pushing into the southern Gulf, and no changes either to the path. Looking quickly at that, still expecting it to become that Category 2 hurricane heading into this evening, and then rapidly intensifying even further into that major Category 3 hurricane heading into tomorrow morning, and then making landfall in the Big Bend region of Florida as that strong Cat 3, that devastating storm. Here, I will actually, bear with me a minute. I'm gonna zoom into this. I just have to, so this way you guys can see where the cone exactly is. It just takes a little longer. Yeah, Phyllis, we're not going to get into that one just yet. That one's too far out. Yes, John, I agree that it looks like it is going to be, Mobile is safe, along with Christopher. Thank you for Cheryl, watching from Sims. And Kendall, watching from Wilmer. So this is going to be the look at that cone. So it looks like it took just a very minor shift further towards the west, just closer towards, again, Cape San Blas. Apalachicola is going to be right there at the point. Panama City still included in this, but none of the Foxton viewing area is included in this cone. So we are not concerned about that. We will be staying on the west side of the system. Models still leaning towards that Big Bend region, Appalachia Bay for where it's going to be heading up towards. And so Tallahassee folks, if you know anyone that lives there, that's really where we're going to have to be watching some of those impacts being felt. I know that a lot of folks live there. They live in Gainesville. And so I agree with Kirsten. It is amazing how little our impacts will be felt here. We'll see some of that cloud cover. We'll see some of those breezy winds out of the north, but that is really just the difference that you feel being on the west side in comparison to the east side of this system, because almost the entire state of Florida is under some sort of tropical storm warning because of how big the rain field is with this. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando also under those tropical storm warnings where some of those tropical storm force conditions will be felt. We're not included, and that's Escambia County, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa County. So that really shows you just the difference of being in that front left quadrant in comparison to the entire right side of that system. They will all be feeling impacts, whether it's rain, it's wind, it's storm surge, even into the Carolinas, feeling some of those impacts. We are not going to be feeling much at all. Please just stay out of our Gulf waters. That'll be the biggest takeaway from all of this. Again, yell at folks. If you're down at our local beaches, please do it. If you're bored, you can head out to the beaches tomorrow and Friday. And if you see the beaches are closed and you see folks swimming out there, you can yell at them. It's okay. We all give you permission because it's best not to risk not only their lives, but they're also putting other people at risk too when they have to go out there and save them. It's not going to be good conditions out there. I will have another update coming up on Fox 10 Live beginning at 3 p.m. Our next advisory update coming out from the National Hurricane Center at 4 p.m. Chief Meteorologist Jason Smith will have that update for you at the top of our 4 p.m. newscast with Lanice and Shelby. We are going to be covering more, especially for our counties in Okaloosa and Santa Rosa counties. We've been checking in with the school systems there. They've been sending out some updates on what they're planning for tomorrow. But again, minimal impacts here locally. We've also been checking in with folks on the Florida Panhandle about how they're taking in some of those storm preparations. We'll have more details on that on Fox 10 News at 4, 5, 9, and 10 p.m. Next advisory updates, 4 p.m., 7 p.m., which you can find here. That'll be on our Gulf Stream, our YouTube, and our Facebook. And then we'll have that 10 p.m. update live heading into this evening. I'm wishing everyone a wonderful Wednesday out there. We'll work hard to keep you updated. If anyone wasn't able to get any of the questions, then I will have more of those additional updates coming up later on today. Again, if you guys have any comments or questions and I wasn't able to answer them, or you joined late, feel free to drop them there. I go back and I check throughout the day in case you guys have any questions for us. But again, wishing everyone a hopefully wonderful Wednesday. We'll keep you updated right here on Fox 10 with additional updates coming up later on this evening.